The Lindisfarne Gospels is one of the oldest and the best example of an earlier medieval manuscript. It was created on the island of Lindisfarne off the coast of Northumberland around 700 AD, and it's especially significant for its artistic brilliance and its stylistic influences, which come from many sources including Mediterranean, Celtic and Germanic art.
It artistically is spectacular, and it's really significant because it was made by one scribe, the whole thing, which took between 5 and 10 years to produce, which is quite astonishing to think that something of that nature was worked by candle light. So life was very difficult then and very different. So just technically producing it is quite an amazing feat. It's important from a Christian point of view as well. It was an act of devotion in its making. It actually tells the story of Jesus Christ's life, and it is symbolic in the sense that when it was made, it was really a significant period in the history of Christianity. The British Library are the key partner. They are the custodians of the Gospels, and they hold such knowledge and expertise that we've worked really closely with them because it's such a rare, precious object that we have to take care of it properly. So we've been supported through that process so that we've been enabled to do that. So that's been a very fruitful and supportive partnership. But they've also helped in terms of what interpretation we want to bring to the Gospels.
I think in the past, exhibitions around the Gospels have been very historically focused, looking at the history of the book. And that's important to our exhibition too, but we really also wanted to focus on spirituality in particular and the meaning of the book and create kind of an emotional response to it. And we did that by inviting contemporary artists to create responses to the Gospels. So I think that's something that's very different. And also we explore its relevance to today's society and bring it up very much to the present day and include artworks created this year, so it's very, very current.
We've got 3 separate exhibitions, but that they're one exhibition in a sense.
The part that I was really involved with is the first gallery space, and it was a new type of exhibition making for us here at the Laing because it's an immersive digital experience. So you are transported to the island of Lindisfarne and the late 7th, early 8th century, and you get a real sense of that context, both the social and religious context, but also the beautiful environment of Lindisfarne, but how it connects to the wider world as well. So I worked with the creative agency Know That to create their digital immersive experience, and my role was really, I did quite a bit of research around what that would look like and the story that we would tell. And we really wanted to transport visitors to Lindisfarne and this kind of remote wild island and give them a sense of that, but to show how it is connected to the wider world. So the theme of the installation is at the tide, because Lindisfarne's a tidal island. So as the tide washes in and washes out, new environments are displayed, and visitors are able really to join in the journey of the book and understand what happened to it, both from the point that it was made, but also when the monks had to flee Lindisfarne because of Viking raids, and you can follow that journey of the book. The challenge was that we did want to do something different, but it is slightly different to our usual exhibitions of fine and decorative art. So I think that was a challenge really, and to see a gallery transformed in that way with projections has been really, really fun to see.
A wild storm bore down. The Gospels leapt overboard and into the heaving sea, surely lost, surely gone.
And then in the second room, which is what we've been calling the inner sanctum, is where the Gospels will be displayed themselves, which we tell the story of 8th century Christianity, and we use other objects to tell that story, extremely rare as well from that period. The Gospels is open on the page of St. John, and so you see the initial letter at the beginning of the Gospel of St. John, and then you also, on the other page, you see a beautiful carpet page. It's one of the most spectacular pages, and it shows all the innovative aspects of Eadfrith, who created the Gospels, all his innovative designs. So it is really exceptional that we've got that page, as it's one of the best ones. So that's really exciting for us as well.
I was curator of 2 of the exhibition galleries, including the early medieval room, which includes treasures from around the time the Lindisfarne Gospels was created. So we're really fortunate to have books, objects and artworks from around this time that specifically relate to the introduction of Christianity to Britain. And we really selected objects that show the meaning and how people would connect to their new Christian faith. So I looked at collections across the country and chose objects that would specifically tell those stories. In total, we have around 80 objects in the exhibition. So in the sort of Anglo-Saxon time period, from that time we have around 20 objects, which we're really pleased with because surviving material from this time period is very rare. So there's not much that still exists, and we've been really lucky to get pieces from places like the Staffordshire Hoard. We've also got manuscripts from places like the British Library, the Bodleian Libraries, Lambeth Palace Library, and I think a particular favourite of mine is the Trumpington Cross that was found on the body of a teenage girl in Cambridgeshire, and I think that really connects us to this. It's a very human, emotive piece that connects us to a time period that can feel quite different. So I think that's one of the key not to miss objects in the exhibition.
And in the third gallery, we wanted to bring the Gospels up to date, as it were, and we're an art gallery, so we wanted to think about how art over the centuries has explored spirituality and its different aspects that go beyond the Christian and religious.
We took quite a broad approach and looked at the very different ways that spirituality could be represented in art and how that's developed. And we chose objects from across many different cultures and again outside of religion, and looked at places where spirituality could be found, such as nature and things like that. So we selected artwork specifically for that. I think some of the not-to-be-missed objects include a series of screen prints by Gambian British artist Khadija Say. It's a series of photographs of the artist performing rituals with objects sourced from Gambian spiritual healers, and they're really strong, powerful images that the artist used to process trauma and her experiences of being a black woman. So I think it's nice that we can bring in all these different stories and how spirituality is incorporated into that. And then as well, I think 2 favourites are the cloud studies by John Constable, which kind of reflect this timeless fascination with the sky and how that invokes this sense of spirituality in nature as well.
So that's over 3 spaces. However, there are 3 spaces that there is a charge for, but alongside that, throughout the rest of the gallery, there are other things that are free that people can experience that tell an aspect of the themes around the Gospels. And one of those is Jeremy Della's new commissioned film.
I think what it is basically is a film about the journey. It's about the book and its journey here, but in a very fantastical fantasy way, a more playful film. So it's a more sort of mood piece in a way. It's not a serious film necessarily, but it is about this area. It's definitely about this part of the world and the book returning to this part of the world. I want them to watch it all the way through. That would be the first thing. I think they might be amused by it. It's not something you have to think hard about. It's visually quite attractive and hopefully quite stimulating, because some of the effects in it, there's animation in it. So I hope that will be something that people will be sort of delighted by it.
And so Ruth Ewan's project, These Are Our Treasures, and it's in essence a community project which we've worked through Libraries Connected, through our partnership with Newcastle City Library, and helping set up community engagement workshops throughout the region to ask people, what is your treasure, what is sacred to you today, now? And we've been able to collect objects through that process and select objects, and that has meant that we've got this fantastic display. And we also have a display by a young people's group inspired by our collections around the themes of the Gospels. So it's a very ambitious project, it's a very ambitious exhibition in this gallery. So there's lots to see for everyone, and it really is fantastic, and you will really enjoy it. People will come to the exhibition, maybe have expectations about what the Gospels is. And I hope this exhibition makes them think a bit differently. It's not only a book, it's other things. So I hope that in the exhibition we provide different ways in, through different means of interpretation and different layers, so that people maybe think about the Gospels differently when they leave the exhibition itself.
I think it's just understanding how significant the manuscript is to the North East, but also how relevant it can be today.
I think the key thing about the exhibition is that spirituality is very personal, so we expect that people will have very individual responses to it. But more than anything, we wanted the galleries to provide a space where people can sit and reflect and contemplate, because I think that's something that's quite rare in today's world.